all three, then also it is very good, right? So according to Marshall and Williams, which is a textbook of invertebrate zoology, which is also recommended for this class, here this phylum echinodermata is divided into several subphyla. Subphyla are Homelozoa, Asterozoa, Echinozoa, and Crinozoa, right? On the basis of their broad structures, on the basis of their lifestyle, and on the basis of them being now present, that is extant, or they are extinct. So this particular subphylum, Homelozoa, this is an extinct group that includes all those extinct animals which were there in the ancient times. And these are three extant subphyla, that is Asterozoa, Echinozoa, and Crinozoa. These are, actually students disturb all the time, they want to be admitted to the class. Anyways, so these are three subphyla, Asterozoa, Echinozoa, and Crinozoa. And under these there are classes. Classes such as in the Asterozoa, there is a class Stelleroidea. Stelleroidea, that means the animals which are somewhat star-shaped. And under that, there are two subclasses, that is Asteroidea and Ophiuroidea. Asteroidea and Ophiuroidea, right? Then there is a Echinozoa subphylum. That is the echinoderms which are included in this, they have spines, very distinct spines. And under this category, we have several extinct classes, such as Helicoplacoidea, which is extinct, so we will not consider that. Then Edesteroidea, that also is extinct, and Ophicystoidea, that too is extinct. So you don't need to remember them even at this point, but we want to just tell you that these classes are extinct and others are extant. For example, Holothuroidea, this is having a number of specimens, number of species in this class, and Echinoidea, right? So these two classes you have to remember, that is Holothuroidea and Echinoidea under subphylum Echinozoa. Then we have Crinozoa. Under this, there is a class Crinoidea. So three subphyla which are extant, but under that also there are some classes which are extinct. But they have been put under this subphylum. Although they are extinct, they have been placed under this subphylum because they possess the characteristics distinct from Homelozoa, right? So they have characteristics which resemble these extant species such as Holothuroideans and Echinoideans. So under this Stelleroidea, there are two subclasses, Asteroidea and Ophiuroidea. Now the confusion or the disagreement amongst the taxonomists occur on this one. Some taxonomists have placed these two subclasses under, they have like promoted them under the class. So instead of them being subclass, they are class in one scheme of classification. So they are class Asteroidea and class Ophiuroidea. In most of Indian author books that you have, that is Jordan Verma or Kotpal, they have been given as class, not the subclass. They have been given the status of or taxon as class. So class Asteroidea and class Ophiuroidea, right? So in this scheme of classification, which you are studying right now in this particular slide, they are under class Stelleroidea. And there are two distinct subclasses, Asteroidea and Ophiuroidea. Whatever way you study, it is okay, right? It depends on what classification you are following. Now, in this another book, Pechenik, Biology of Invertebrates, they have omitted the extinct group. They have just explained the extant, the living ones. So if you look at this, all those asterisk marked classes or subphyla or subclass that have been removed from this classification. And here simply you see there are three subphyla: Crinozoa, Stegozoa, and Echinozoa. Under Crinozoa, there is class Crinoidea. Under Stegozoa, there is Stelleroidea and two subclasses, Asteroidea and Ophiuroidea. And under Echinozoa, there are two classes, Echinoidea and Holothuroidea. Right? So these are stocked ones and these are free swimming ones. Now, in this Kotpal or in the Jordan Verma, the echinodermates have been classified under two subphyla. Okay, in this we have seen these three subphylum which are named differently. Here also we have these similar subphyla, but in this scheme of classification we have altogether different subphyla. This is actually considered a bit old type of classification where two subphyla have been divided from or have been separated from phylum Echinodermata. These are Elythrozoa and Pelmatozoa. Elythrozoa and Pelmatozoa. Elythrozoans are mostly free swimming ones, whereas Pelmatozoa are considered as mostly stocked animals. However, there are some free swimming present in this one. So there is some problem regarding some issues regarding the characteristics on the basis of which these subphyla have been decided. That is why more like error-free classification has been given. So in this one, subphylum Elythrozoa, which contain free swimming animals, here there are four classes. Names are familiar to you. They are present here as well, but here they have been put under subphylum Elythrozoa. These classes are Asteroidea, Ophiuroidea, Echinoidea, and Holothuroidea. And the second subphylum includes these stocked, somewhat primitive echinoderms. They are included under class Crinoidea. So one class under Pelmatozoa and four classes under Elythrozoa. So here now you see all these three types of classification given in the textbook recommended for you, right? So here this one, then next one, and this one. I will be sharing these slides with you. You can study more about these in any PDF books if are available, or any research papers if they are available. Now, this is how do they look. This is how they are diverse in form. Here you see this is an asteroidea. Okay? Here you see that this includes sea star, which was earlier called as starfish. And there are shorter arms and very prominent this central disc, and the arms originate widely on the central disc and they taper. This is brittle star or ophiuroid. Here you see they are sharply cut off. They are sharply formed from the central disc. Okay? There is no tapering thing as you see in this one. They are sharply formed, and these arms are long, and they are almost of same diameter all along, right? एक सी width है इनकी, and there are distinct bigger spines, whereas on this there are spines, but they are not that prominent. So there is a central disc, and there are these snake-like arms from this central disc. Then this one is a hedgehog-looking echinoderm, and that is under Echinoidea. There are very big spines you see in this one. Okay, Echinoidea के ये बड़े-बड़े spines हैं इसमें. And here that is the sea lily or the crinoid. They are stalked and they have these extensions or tentacles which have softer extensions called as pinules. Rather than spines, they are somewhat feather-like, and that is why they are called as feather stars. So totally this thing is different from this. And you see this is different from this. So there is a huge diversity amongst the echinoderms. There are about 5,200 living species in this particular phylum. Now here you see this is the feather star or crinoids. See, they are stalked mostly. Stalked कैसे हैं? Here you see this is the stalk. This is the stalk, and then there are these cirri present through which they hold fast on some substratum. That substratum may be rock at the sea bottom, or just at in the sand they are stalked. Mostly on the rocks they are stalked, and then they have this crown where there are several arms surrounding this side. This is the aboral cup. So mouth, anus, and the other openings, madreporite, etc., they come to lie on this side rather than at the bottom side, which you see in the sea stars. देखिए इसमें भी this is how they look like. This is there is diversity, huge diversity within this class as well. They occur in huge numbers, in millions of numbers. They occur in one place. So it's kind of, although they are not colonial, but a big population is there in one area. And since they are stalked, so they don't disperse. Then we have seen this ophiuroids. Here you see these are different ophiuroids. In some the spines are very prominent, while in others the spines are not that prominent. So these are ophiuroids. Then the echinoids. Echinoids are of two types: the sea urchins and the sand dollar. Sea urchin and sand dollars. ठीक है, ये mostly इसमें sea urchins देख रहे हैं हम. Sand dollars are relatively, they have flattened body, whereas in them they have a kind of globular body. And this globular body is formed by these arms. When they join like this, they join like this. So they make a globular structure. There are ambulacra and lacra present, interambulacra present. And they are very prominent spines located. They also have a characteristic masticatory structure is there, jaw-like structure is there, which is a complex one and is called as Aristotle's lantern. This is how they look like. एक primitive type की lantern होती थी, उससे ये resemble करता है ये, and they are named after the discoverer. So Aristotle lantern, like lantern थी जिससे ये resemble करते हैं. These are actually masticatory structure. With the help of these, they cut on the food or kelp जिस पर ये feed करते हैं, they cut that into small pieces and they masticate that. देखिए यहाँ पर present है, ये bottom side पर present है. This is the bottom side. Here you see these jaws, and this particular part is not visible here. Only this teeth part is visible. This is the ventral view. Okay, ये teeth हैं, and these are the remaining plates जो कि pyramid की form में होती हैं. So these are all echinoids. So echinoids में sea urchins हैं in this figure, and here we see sand dollars, which are somewhat flattened ones. These are flattened ones, and they have these petalloids. Okay, in the structure को हम petalloids कहते हैं, and they are found embedded within the sand here. Bottom पे ही present हैं, या tide marks के पास भी मिलते हैं ये here. And here you see, in this picture, you see these masticatory structures, the Aristotle's lantern. Then we have these somewhat elongated ones, elongated echinoderms, which are cucumber shaped, खीरे की तरह दिखते हैं, spiny हैं. Spines थोड़े से different हो सकते हैं. Spine जो हैं, जो bottom वाले spines हैं, on the ventral side, they may have suckers, but the spines which are present above here, they are without sucker, and they move this way horizontally. So these are holothuroids. They are under class Holothuroidea. Now, in them also there may be these oral tentacles. ये tentacles present हैं, 5 or 10 tentacles, 10 mostly. Here, this is the lab specimen. Here you see these tentacles here, and this is the cucumber-shaped body. So, somewhat oral, a boral axis is elongated in them. And you see this is the intestine and the gonads and other structures, Polian vesicles. क्या होती हैं ये हम अभी सी स्टार के सेंस में बात करेंगे जब हम उसकी डिटेल पढ़ेंगे. एंड दे हैव दिस रेस्पिरेटरी ट्री, एंड व्हेन दे आर थ्रेटेंड they just release this, evert out this respiratory tree outwards, and also they secrete toxins when they are threatened. So this is their characteristic. Then the class Asteroidea, that includes sea stars. This one, sea star or starfish. They are of various size, shape, color, and here you see they are broadly formed on the central disc, and it's kind of dome-shaped body. Dorsally, it is, you see, that this is somewhat dome-shaped in some of them. We have very good specimens of these sea stars in our museum. We have this one as well. We have these sea stars as well in our museum. So whenever you get the opportunity, you are advised to visit the museum and look for these specimens. So this is the sea star, typical anatomy of sea star. You see these this water vascular system having various canals. They are named according to their locations, and there are, in each arm there are extensively placed digestive glands as well as gonads. We will be coming back to this sea star in next few slides when we study the detail of sea star. So before that, we just want to summarize here this classification, that the phylum Echinodermata is having these 5 classes. If we go by this Kotpal book or Jordan Verma book, there are 5 classes: Asteroidea, Ophiuroidea, Echinoidea, Holothuroidea, and Crinoidea. And these are representative animals of those classes. So I see cucumber and sea urchin and brittle star and the starfish or sea star and feather star. Now this is the sea star anatomy. Here you see in detail this anatomy we will be discussing. So 5 arms are there, and this is the arrangement of digestive system. If we focus on digestive system here, so mouth is present here on the underside, which is not visible from above. What is visible is the end point of the digestive system, that is anus. Also visible on this is the sieve plate, which is madreporoid, through which water enters and exits and move through the water vascular system. Here you see, here, this is that system here. And also there are digestive glands. And the in this picture you see the endoskeletal plates, which are the dermal ones, which are present in the dermis, and they make up the rigid skeleton, which side by side is flexible also, because these plates are joined with the small proteins, muscles, and they allow some kind of what do you say, movement of these plates over each other, and that ultimately is important for overall locomotion, movement, etc. of these arms. Also, they can remove these arms on their own will. That means they can discard these arms by breaking off some plates, some of those plates, and they can regenerate the arm. So they have great power of autotomy and regeneration. When any one or two or three or all of these arms get injured, or they get old, or they get diseased, so they can remove on their own will these arms, and they can be regenerated. Regeneration also varies amongst various species. In some, if only central disc remains, all five arms can be regenerated. In others, even if there is no central disc and there is just one arm remaining, the whole organism can be regenerated. So this regeneration power varies according to species. Now this again shows the internal anatomy. Now this is the dissecting part, which shows that if you cut this and you can just lift this cut part, you see that skeletal portion, and then within the arm you can see these digestive glands here. This is diagrammatic. So this part is cut open, and the skin is removed to show how various organs are placed inside. So here you see these heads of water vascular tube feet ke ye heads hain, and some part of digestive system you see in this, some part of reproductive system you see in this one. ये पाइलोरिक ग्लैंड्स का वो है, जो पाइलोरिक सीका एंड पाइलोरिक ग्लैंड्स, दे आर प्रेजेंट लाइक दिस. ये इसमें थोड़ा छोटा लग रहा होगा क्योंकि ये आपको मैं जब शेयर करूंगी देन यू कैन गो थ्रू दिस इन डिटेल. देखिए डाइजेस्टिव ग्लैंड जिनके बारे में हम बात कर रहे थे, दे सिक्रीट डाइजेस्टिव जूसेस एंड एड इन एब्जॉर्प्शन एंड स्टोरेज ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स. ये वाटर वेस्कुलर सिस्टम का पार्ट है. दिस इज द सेंट्रल डिस्क that has a nerve ring also, and the nerve cord radiating into these arms. Now we are talking in detail about this structure present on the oral side, the mouth. This is having somewhat pentagonal in shape. It is not a circular mouth, it is a pentagonal mouth, and it is surrounded by delicate membrane and is guarded by 5 groups of oral spine. Now from each angle of mouth extend an oral groove. Here you see this is the oral groove here, which is called as ambulacral groove, which runs along the ventral surface of corresponding arms. जब हम क्लास में ये टॉपिक पढ़ाते हैं तो हम साथ में इनका स्टारफिश को भी रखते हैं और एक एक स्ट्रक्चर को हम दिखाते हुए चलते हैं कि दिस इज द ओरल ग्रूव, दिस इज mouth, and this is the dorsal surface, this is ventral surface, different types of spines and so on. Okay. Then 2 rows or 3 rows of calcareous spines are located on either side of this groove. You see this is the groove here, and there it is bordered by different rows of spines. 2 or 3 rows of spines are there. So since they are present on the margins of these groove, they are called as ambulacral spine. Each ambulacral groove contains short tubular retractile projections. They can be extended and retracted back into this. So they are called as podia or tube feet. Here, so this is highly magnified structure, and you see these podia, these tube feet end in this sucker-like structures. ये बिल्कुल ऐसे ही अगर आपने वो जो डार्ट गन है, कभी जो टॉय गन होती है उसको यूज किया हो, जिसमें एक डार्ट निकलता है और जाके किसी भी सरफेस पर चिपक जाता है, जिसपे एक डिस्क लगी हुई होती है, प्लास्टिक की, रबर की डिस्क होती है, तो ये उसी से हम इसको कंपेयर कर सकते हैं। ऑल्दो इट इज वेरी माइन्यूट, इट इज नॉट दैट बिग, लेकिन somewhat like that. So they serve as an organ of locomotion, food capture, as well as exchange, gas exchange. The tip of the arm bears small, median, non-retractile, hollow terminal tentacles. Here there are terminal tentacles present at the tip of the arms. Also, at the end of each ambulacral groove, here at the end of each ambulacral groove, there is a small photosensitive eye spot located. And it is not a compound eye or a very advanced eye. It is made up of a simple eye, and that is called as ocelli. So, tube feet are present all along this ambulacral groove here, but at the end there are some hollow tentacles present which are non-retractile, and there is a eye spot present at the end. Then on the skin there is this particular structure present. हम इसके बारे में अभी आगे स्लाइड में बात करते हैं. एक जॉ लाइक स्ट्रक्चर प्रेजेंट होता है. ठीक है, we'll come back to this. This is again showing the typical anatomy. This is the mouth or actinostome, and that leads into a globular structure, sac-like cardiac stomach, and very short pyloric stomach. Okay? And there are these pyloric ceca, which extend into each arm. While this portion, this majority of this alimentary canal, this is located in the central disc. So mouth, stomach, small intestine, cecum, rectal cecum, and anus. This is present like this here. And this pyloric cecum that extends into each arm, Right? ये देखिए, ये दिस इज द पाइलोरिक सीकम. बहुत ही ब्रांच्ड है और बहुत सारे इसमें पाउचेस लगे हुए होते हैं which secrete and which is secretory as well as reabsorptive. ये this is the real specimen. ये सारे diagrammatic थे. Here this the skin is removed from here, cut off and removed to show the internal structures. So this is the ambulacral ridge and ampullae. These are small structures, and here you see this pyloric cecum present here that opens into the pyloric part of the stomach. Here you see this part of the stomach can be everted out. Okay? The cardiac stomach can be everted out from mouth, and the digestive juices are poured over the prey, and then partly digested food is then engulfed, and then further digestion occurs inside. Now, what is there on the aboral surface? The upper convex surface is called as aboral surface, and it is covered with a large number of calcareous spines. Spines are supported by calcareous ossicles which are buried in the skin. So what projects from these ossicles? The spines project from the ossicles. Ossicles are buried in the dermis part of the skin. Between the ossicles, there are a number of minute dermal pores. Through these dermal pores project these gill-like structures here. Let me magnify a little bit. Here. So from these dermal pores appear these dermal branchiae or papillae or gills, which are important in gaseous exchange. So there are a number of minute dermal pores through which project a small Here you see, these are the dermal branchiae. This is a spine, dermal branchiae, and these are the pedicellary. These are the pincer-like structures, pedicellary. These are the grasping organs used for cleaning and protecting the body. The boral central axis bears also the circular anus as well as madreporoid. So all these structures, mostly pedicellari, are very well distributed on the aboral side, but also they are present on the oral surface, but much more in number on the aboral surface. So they also on the aboral surface is present the sieve plate or metriporite, which is the water entry and exit point, and there is the last part of the digestive system located on the aboral surface, that is in us. Now this is the detailed structure of pedicellari. Pedicellari, these are the pincer-like structures. Pedicellari have a basal plate and they have these two more plates called as valves. Okay, these are the valves and this is the basal plate. Also, a number of muscles are attached to this. These muscles are adductor muscle and abductor muscle. They help in opening and closing of these pincers. ठीक है, ये बिल्कुल ऐसे ही समझ लीजिए कि अगर आप किसी फोर्सेप को पकड़े हुए हैं. Forceps has these two plates and a one point where these two plates join, and you can pick things by pushing these two edges of forceps closer. So forceps can be open and closed like this. Now, in some cases, they are arranged in such a way that they are crossed. These valves are crossed. So this is a cross type pedicellari. You can compare this structure with the scissors. In a scissors, you see the blades and then the handle part is crossed. Okay? And you move it like this so that the blades open and close. So that is the difference between a cross type pedicellaria and the straight type pedicellaria. Okay? In the straight type, that moves like a forceps, and this type moves just like a scissors. So this is a cross type and this is a straight type. In some animals, some echinoderms, both kinds are present, while in others there may be any of these kind may be present. कोई एक तरह का present हो सकता है. Regarding the metriporite, this is a flat subcircular plate on the aboral surface of the disc at the base of two arms. तो metriporite सिर्फ एक structure है जहाँ पर present है. For example, if these are 5 arms, it is present between any 2 arms. Now these 2 arms between which this metriporite is present, that is called as bivium. That set of arm between which this metriporite is located, that is called as bivium. Whereas the remaining 3 arms are called as trivium. These are the trivium. इन्हें हम trivium कहेंगे और इसको हम bivium. Metriporite is a sieve-like plate with numerous pores which lead into this water vascular system through this canal that is called as stone canal here. Stone canal, and this is the TS of this complex. ये कहलाता है axial complex कहलाता है, जहाँ पर axial gland present है और जहाँ पे sinuses present है, axial sinus present है, hemal sinus का part बनाता है ये, and there is this internal structure of a stone canal that leads into then this ring canal and then radial canal into each arm, and then the lateral canals into each arm, and then this foot. Water यहाँ से exit नहीं करता because this part is the closed part. ठीक है, water की entry and exit इनके extension, retraction में help करती है और overall locomotion में help करती है. The metriporite is a sieve-like plate with numerous pores which lead into water vascular system inside the body. Water vascular system is a network of hydraulic canals branching into tube feet that function in locomotion, feeding, and the help in feeding and the gas exchange. Then the pedicellary part, which we have seen here, this is the pedicellary. Here you see these small pincer-like structures. Pedicellary is a minute jaw-like structure. They are found on both surfaces. Mostly they are well distributed on upper surface but present on lower surface as well. There are 2 types, stalked and sessile. Sessile वो जो direct लगे होते हैं और stalk जो stalk के ऊपर होते हैं. Only stalk type occur in asterias. Each pedicellaria consists of a movable stalk bearing 2 articulating calcareous serrated valves. Here, these are the valves. They are serrated, having this kind of serrated margin, not a smooth margin, and toothed, and articulating with the third calcareous plate, which is called as basal plate. Such pedicellariae containing three calcareous plates, they are known as forsipulate. जिसमें तीन प्लेट हैं, where there is one basal plate and two valves. Such type of pedicellariae are called as forsipulate, which are found in this asterias. इसके भी बहुत सारी structural diversity present है. Then this is the tube feet, is a structure that operates like a suction cup. Think of an octopus or end of a rubber dart on a toy gun. Now multiply that by hundreds of times to get an idea how many a sea star has. So yeah, here this is how they hold fast on this substratum while they are moving, slowly moving. So these are these extensions of tube feet. The ampulla part remain inside, but this podium part can be extended and retracted back. This is a fine structure of madreporite. Here you see ridges and grooves. In LS में देखिए ये madreporite कैसा दिखता है. Ridges and grooves are there. Then ampulla is there, and there is this canal, stone canal. Then part of axial sinus that is associated with this. Now we come back to pedicellariae. The valves open and close with a pair of abductor muscles. Okay, abductor muscles and adductor muscles. Okay, abductor and adductor, these are antagonistic muscles. So they open and close with the help of abductor and adductor muscle respectively. एक से बंद होते हैं, एक से खुलते हैं. एक जब वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करती है मसल तो इधर मूवमेंट होता है, और जब दूसरा सेट मसल का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करता है तो इस तरह से मूवमेंट होता है. So here in this figure you see adductor and abductor muscles. Let me just magnify this a bit so that we can see the location of these muscles. Here the adductor muscles here and the abductor muscles. एक जब वो होगी तो एक तरफ मूवमेंट होगा, जब दूसरी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करेगी, ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करेगी तो इधर से मतलब बंद होगा, और दूसरा से जब दूसरी मसल जब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करेगी तो ओपन होगा. सो दे आर सेट ऑफ सच मसल्स, एंटागोनिस्टिक मसल्स. So here we were talking about these two types, the straight types and the cross types. In the straight type, the jaw are straight and they remain parallel throughout their length. Here you see in the straight type. In the cross type, the basal and two jaw are curved and they curve each other over each other and work like a scissors. The pedicellariae help in food capture, removal of debris, and minute organisms like larvae, which is stuck on these the surface of this, and they interfere with the respiration. The debris and the minute organism which get stuck on the body, they may interfere with respiration. So they are removed using this. Now these pincer-like organism structures, they function as an organs of offense as well as defense. So that was the outer structures of asterias. Next we come to this body wall part. Body wall we know is the skin part, and it is having the epidermis, which is covered by cuticle, which is secreted by epidermis. So two-layered cuticle is present all over. Epidermis rests on basement membrane, and it is made up of ciliated columnar epithelial cells. We know that the epithelial cells, they lie on the basement membrane. Then there are gland cells, which are modified epithelial cells. They secrete mucus, which is protective. And of course, there are sensory cells, the neurosecretory cells as well. Then beneath that layer, epidermis, is dermis, which is a thick layer made up of fibrous connective tissue. Outer region contains self-secreted calcareous ossicles. Now, these ossicles, they form endoskeleton. Then there is a muscle layer, a layer of smooth muscle fibers. They form a circular as well as longitudinal the longitudinal muscular layer is thicker compared to the circular muscle layer. Smooth muscles की हैं layers. Longitudinal layer more developed on the aboral end, and muscles are responsible for these muscles. Both layers are responsible for bending of arms, opening and closing of ambulacral grooves. And the third innermost layer of body wall is the parietal peritoneum that lines the coelom. We know that visceral peritoneum lines the viscera, whereas parietal peritoneum lines the coelom, consisting of ciliated cuboidal epithelium. So this is the composition of body wall. Here, this is the body wall in the vertical section. Here you see several layers: the epidermis, the dermis. In epidermis you see several types of cells, ciliated, cuticle secreted by them, and there is a nerve plexus, ganglion. There are sensory nerve endings here. There are neurosecretory cells. There is mucus glands. Then in the dermis, we have these dermal ossicles, also the blood supply to this through perihemal sinus. Then we have, actually इसमें blood की जगह coelomic fluid flow करता है in this. Then we have circular muscle layer and longitudinal muscle layer, and then this is the coelomic epithelium. ठीक है, जिसके बारे में हमने लास्ट में बात करी. This one that lines the coelom, and that consists of cuboidal epithelium, the parietal peritoneum. So all these four layers, they are shown in the vertical section. So I think with this, one more slide we should talk about today, and then we will end the class. So the endoskeleton is there, well-developed mesodermal structure. So that is an advancement over other invertebrates where the skeleton is ectodermal in origin. But in this case, it is mesodermal structure. The calcareous ossicles are secreted by dermis, which may be of various forms. These ossicles may form spines, rods, cones, plates. They are not united into a continuous plate, but lie at intervals connected together by muscles and connective tissue. And this arrangement provides rigidity as well as flexibility and permits movement. The larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. This symmetry is lost during the transition to adulthood. So why transition from bilateral symmetry in larva to radial symmetry in an adult? There is one explanation for that. Unlike a bilaterally symmetrical adult, an echinoderm can greet its environment from all sides and can respond to that. And probably that provided during the course of evolution a better strategy for survival. That is why this. Then why 5 arms? Pentaradial symmetry, it's a form of radial symmetry. Parts are arranged in fives or multiples of fives around an oral-aboral axis. So since the larval stages are bilaterally symmetrical, these are believed to be evolved from bilaterally symmetrical ancestors. Here, in most of them, this pentamerous radial symmetry is there, visible. Lastly, why 5 arms instead of 6? The 5-part organization may be advantageous because joints between ossicles, the skeletal ossicles, are never directly opposite one another, as they would be with an even number. So having joints on the opposite sides of the body in line with each other could make the skeleton weaker had there been 6. The joints on opposite side of the body in line with each other could make the skeleton weaker. So maybe this 5-part organization provides better protection and leading to better survival of these organisms. So with this, we end the class here. We'll continue on Monday, and we'll